needs to have multivitamins in it. It needs to have deodorant.
Hey guys,
to have toothpaste.
I was just trying to make sure it was working right.
Over-the-counter medications. Your body
yeah, I have
to have
full spectrum survival plan. Yeah, wanted to do another one of those videos. Actually forgot it wasn't on the Pinterest. So I went out to. I don't like that one. It's gonna take a long time. We'll do this one. Actually, let it go back up to the one we did because there were other ones inside that one. Yeah, I went and spent some time with Chloe tonight. So I was gonna do more videos earlier today. I didn't have to work, but I was so tired. I just ended up going upstairs and laying down. I'm still kind of tired, but I didn't even want to try to drive tonight. Like, without going to sleep. We will do. Can you homestead on less than an acre of land? Alright. Yeah, I was just really tired because I didn't get out of work. I didn't clock out last night until 1:19. Just because of the fact that the person I was working after worked before me, who I had to close after she worked, doesn't like doing her job. Sorry, I am hot, so this is coming off. We've had ribs going today. They actually turned out really good. I had some earlier. Okay, I'm gonna try to get something to drink. So I'll be right back, you guys.
let those Chinese in.
Sorry, guys. Whoa. Okay. All right. I kind of want. It's almost 10. I'm not gonna eat this late. I did give in and have some pop. I'm gonna keep working on getting away from it completely. So, anyway, yeah, I was just really tired earlier, so I had to lay down this afternoon. I did sleep for a little while, so I mean it did help. I'll get to bed a lot earlier, which obviously that's a good thing. Yeah. But I wanted to get into doing some more informational videos. Partly for my own sake and getting myself back into that homestead mindset and getting more videos out there, but also get the information out there. So, this is the one Hold on, guys. Okay, sorry about that. I wanted a tomato. I had some ribs and a yogurt for dinner. And now I'm having a tomato. Okay. Alright, so can you homestead on less than an acre of land? And the answer is yes. Alright, here we go. Sustainable survival homesteading is possible on less than an acre. You can't raise a herd of beef cattle in your backyard. You can still raise your own meat and eggs and grow your own groceries. The space you have to work with, of course, matters, but how you use that space matters more. This is also where square foot gardening comes in, because you can grow a lot more in a very small space. The first thing you have to do is set priorities. Differentiating between wants and needs and creating a list of priorities is a vital part of the homestead planning process, regardless of your budget or number of acres, but it is especially more important when you live on a small plot. While your priorities will basically be the same as a prepper living on 50 acres, you will have to scale down your projects and use your space very wisely to accomplish your sustainable survival homesteading goals. Those could be like all little videos in and of themselves. Maximizing small spaces. When you don't have a lot of land, the key is to use every square foot wisely. And again, that's where gardening, especially growing your own food, comes in. Because square foot gardening, I mean, even an 8 by 4 foot bed, that's 32 square feet. You can do up to 32 different things in that bed. Nebula, where are you? Nebula. Okay. I don't have anything. I just wanted to know where you were. No. Don't beg. That's good. Chloe texted me. Okay. Alright. Look at your homestead in layers. The ground for garden beds and livestock pens. Vertical space for trellises and wall planters. And even rooftops for container gardens or solar panels. Don't overlook dead zones like side yards, alleys, and fence lines, which can all be turned into productive growing areas without the right planning. Legal woes. Where you live matters. Preppers living under stringent homeowners association rules will find it more difficult, but still not impossible, to homestead. The rural county where I live doesn't have a zoning office or any types of permits required to do anything but put in a septic system or a well. If you live in a small town with similar county laws, backyard homesteading will be a far easier process from a legal standpoint. Although living in a right to farm state offers some benefit and protection of your rights to grow your own food and keep small survival livestock, some restrictions almost always still apply. Before rushing off the Tractor Supply, or in our case, family farm and home, just had it. Or Rural King to buy chicks and seeds, which is a place that this other lady on another channel that I watch talks about.
They say that we have less than 5 years left to stop what is coming. From a complete tyranny on digital ID and what you're allowed to purchase and what you are not. From an understanding that we will see boots in the centuries. It took us thousands.
Sorry, my
purposeful cybersecurity flaws. So what?
Okay, I'm gonna try not to let that do that. Sorry. Make sure you review local laws that pertain to anything homesteading related. OPSEC. OPSEC. Once you know what you can and cannot do legally on your small homestead, it is time to consider how your self-reliance efforts will look to your neighbors and road traffic. If you don't care if your setup effectively shouts a prepper lives here, feel free to skip this section. But if you are a wise prepper, please read on. And that's what we're trying to be. If you don't have a privacy fence and can install one around all but the front of your yard, that should be your first step. A commonplace wood privacy fence should not raise any eyebrows or alert neighbors and strangers that your home is the one they should raid for food when crap hits the fan. Stockpiling additional fencing in ready-to-install sections, preferably with barbed wire attached, to put across the front of the house during a long-term disaster is highly recommended. That's what I want to do, but Aaron's going to throw a fit. So. Water. Creating secondary water source so you aren't relying on a public utility can be accomplished on a small amount of land with operational security protocols followed as well. Digging decorative garden ponds in both your front and backyard or on a small parcel of land should give you a decent amount of emergency water. Rainwater collection barrels, creatively disguised as typical lawn decorations, should also be attached to your home, garage, and any outbuilding on your property. Water reuse. On a small homestead, conserving every drop of water matters. Gray water from sinks, showers, and washing machines can often be diverted to irrigate fruit trees or ornamental plants. Even if local laws limit gray water use, you can still practice water efficiency by using low-flow fixtures and capturing dishwater or laundry rinse water in buckets to reuse on your garden beds. LPOP, listening post and observation post. If you live in the suburbs or even in some small towns, you will be limited in the types of outdoor construction and landscaping projects you can do by law. Limiting but not eliminating your ability to create listening and observation posts. Building a tower that can double as a deer tree stand and an LP/OP will only be an option if you live in a rural area and on enough land that a passerby could reasonably think you are using it for hunting. Otherwise, you will lose your covert prepper status. If you live in a 2-story home, consider adding an upstairs porch or balcony to use as both an observation post and a vertical growing space. We can't do that in this house. Adding on a half or second story to a garage or storage shed can also open up opportunities to create a disguised but not hidden LPOP. You can build the railings on their observation decks out of typical wood materials, but you should back them with concrete-filled cinder blocks and or thick metal to help defray at least small caliber bullets and increase protection from the elements. Use metal roofing on any new addition, and when feasible, replace existing roofing with the same material to increase longevity and decrease vulnerability to fire. An even better option is a hidden earth berm LPOP, but only if you have the terrain for it. If such a secluded spot is not an option, put in a root cellar, with an entrance as obscure as possible by landscaping after adding some viewing portals on the walls, roof, and door. Growing your own groceries and medicine. Depending upon the amount of land you own, putting in a traditional gardening plot may be possible, but a small plot will not be enough to create a steady flow of produce during a long-term disaster. It is possible to grow enough food and natural remedy ingredients to feed a family of 4 on only a quarter acre or even less, if you use your space wisely. Remember, calling 911 will not be an option during a grade down scenario, so learn how to grow, identify, and use medicinal herbs, roots, bark, and weeds as part of your backyard apothecary survival plan. And I need to get my butt moving and get busy on that, because, yeah. Choosing the right crops for the limited land. When space is tight, you want the biggest return in every plant. Focus on high-calorie, nutrient-dense crops like potatoes, beans, squash, corn, and other foods that can actually sustain you in a crisis. Herbs and salad greens are great, but they won't fill you up. Plant calorie-dense staples first, then use leftover space for flavor and variety. Perennial plants like berry bushes, rhubarb, and asparagus are also smart investments since they come back year after year with little maintenance. Best ways to grow food in small spaces. Containers. Growing fruits and vegetables on decks, porches, and along the sidewalk is edible landscaping, and conventional hanging planters and baskets will substantially increase how much food you can produce. Barrels. Purchase some food-grade plastic barrels that can be decoratively covered to grow potatoes, onions, carrots, strawberries through holes drilled in the sides. Water crop. Grow rice on a small scale in planters nestled in your decorative garden ponds. Vertical gardening. Buy or build vertical gardening containers and attach them to the house, garage, outbuildings, and privacy fence, on the inside, of course, to cultivate shallow root and flowering crops. You can also grow vertically inside your home near windows with quality light by purchasing hanging grow lights. Raised beds. Turn your raised beds into edible landscaping areas and build additional growing beds that can have glass frames placed over them to use for seed cultivation, mini greenhouses, in an open space on your property. Enclosed porch. Enclose a porch and use it as a greenhouse, as Rick Austin, the survivalist gardener, promotes. You could also grow both native and non-native dwarf fruit trees inside the covert survival greenhouse. Raising your own groceries. Depending upon laws, you can cultivate a sustainable chicken flock and rabbit colony in a small space. Rabbits are far quieter than chickens, alright, than roosters. So you can likely get by with keeping even large amounts of rabbits without attracting unwanted attention or neighbor complaints. In many small towns and suburbs where keeping chickens is allowed, there are often limits on how many can be kept, and sometimes having even a single rooster is prohibited. Without a rooster, your flock will eventually die off, taking your meat and egg supply with it. Keep as many chickens as allowed by law and preserve the meat and eggs that they provide to grow your shelf-stable stockpile of long-term storage food. And I need to get us to where our chickens are hatching their own eggs, which we need a rooster for that, and we don't have one right now, so kind of hard. But that's another thing I need to get. Realistically, a typical suburban or small town backyard could house 10 chicken and rabbit hutches with 3 breeding pairs. Because it takes little space and only manual tools to slaughter and butcher either of these types of small survival livestock, you could learn how to do it yourself and process your own meat without attracting unwanted attention. To keep chicken and rabbits, you must have storage space to stockpile a large amount of feed and straw. Consider putting a storage loft in the garage to avoid taking up any ground real estate. Make sure your fencing will keep the small livestock in so they can free range during the grid down disaster to reduce reliance on your stockpiled grain. Pygmy goats and dwarf goats can also be maintained on only a couple of acres or in a situated backyard. The goat can be used for their meat, but are best kept from a survival standpoint for the milk. They're about as big as a German Shepherd, and they're a lot quieter than a dog. The goats can eat the grass in your yard to supplement their grain and hay intake. They are browsers and can even find their own food in the winter on low-quality brushland. The goats will get into every growing plant accessible to them. Typically, both goat breeds are very docile and can even be worked by young children. A single pair of breeding goats is all you could logically keep in a backyard. You must have a plan for the kids that will be produced, either to butcher them or barter them, unless you can afford to stockpile a tractor-trailer load of hay and grain, and have space to store it. Small space beekeeping. This video is probably going to take a while to upload, so... If your local laws allow, keeping bees is one of the best ways to increase both your food security and your income on a small homestead. A single healthy hive can produce gallons of honey each year, along with beeswax for candles and barter. Hang on, guys.
So what you're seeing right now, and if you come back in 3 months, 6 months, whatever.
Bees also improve pollination across your garden, increasing your overall yields. Even 1 or 2 hives tucked into a corner of your yard can make a big difference. And I don't know if we're going to end up getting them. I really don't. I'm probably going to have to stockpile honey. Food preservation. Although you could build a smokehouse to help preserve the food you are growing and livestock you are raising, you could also invest in a charcoal smoker and achieve the same results. Might look that up. You should also invest in a quality home electrical dehydrator. Make or buy a solar dehydrator and stockpile both water bath and pressure canning supplies to ensure you can preserve all the produce, eggs, and meat you are producing. Alternative energy. The power grid cannot be counted upon during a long-term disaster of any type. Invest in solar gadgets, camping gear to help you power your grid down existence. If you live on rural small acreage, investigate the feasibility of harnessing hydropower from a flowing creek and small-scale wind turbine use as well. You can hide many of your solar preps in plain sight. Solar landscaping lights and solar camping fans attached to your porch and will not look out of place even in an upscale suburban environment. Fireplaces can provide warmth but not as efficiently as a wood stove. A cast iron wood stove top surface can be used for cooking and can also be retrofitted with a copper coil system that connects to a hot water tank to warm water. This is helpful if you have a well that is not powered by electricity. Well, unfortunately, ours is. That's why we need to get a hand pump and somehow figure out how to install it. An old-fashioned wood cook stove can look attractive in any kitchen and provide not only additional warmth on a top cook surface, but baking and warming space as well. Well, ours would have to be in the dining room. A compact wood-burning stove and oven combo like this one allows you to cook indoors, a huge plus from an OPSEC point of view to help you maintain smell discipline and prevent the smell of a yummy meal from wafting out onto the street. Purchase a whole house generator that is multi-fuel based, so it can run on diesel and propane in addition to gasoline to enhance fuel stability and longevity. Problem is, grid down, you can't get a hold of either one of them unless you stockpile propane, but that can be dangerous. Consider investing in at least one solar generator because they never run out of fuel and run silently. Remember to stockpile repair and replacement parts for the generators and solar panels and consider storing them in a Faraday cage to protect them from an EMP. Invest in an inexpensive and portable camping-style composting commode or convert your existing toilets into residential composting commode systems to create a sanitary way to dispose of disease-spreading human waste. Tribe creation. Developing some prepping friends in your neighborhood will help keep your family safe. The fewer people you have to defend your survival homestead against, the better. If you do not live in a rural area, the percentage of neighbors who own guns, hunt, fish, and garden is likely low. Begin networking with the folks around you to encourage them to garden, show off your cute goats, so maybe they will fall in love with them and begin raising their own milk too. If there is not a neighborhood watch, start one. Connecting with people around you who are also motivated to protect the area could lead to a development of a civil defense emergency plan. I am tired still. Finding space to store livestock feed, gardening supplies, and all of your preps can be tough in a municipal setting or even on small acreage. Putting in a basement under both the house and garage, building loft storage in garages and sheds, using floor-to-ceiling wall cabinets will help you take advantage of every possible inch of usable space on your small-scale survival homestead. Resourcefulness. Homesteading isn't just about what you can produce on your own property. It's also about building resilience through your local network. In a suburban or town setting, you might trade eggs for fresh bread with a neighbor, swap rabbit meat for firewood, or join a local food co-op. Don't underestimate the resources around you. Scavenging materials from construction sites, repurposing pallets, and joining community seed swaps can stretch your budget and make your small homestead more productive. Gotta continue stocking up on seeds. So, final thoughts. Homesteading in a small space has its challenges, but the rewards make all the work worth the effort. Getting started can feel overwhelming, but take the time to develop a solid plan that works within your budget and set short-term goals that are feasible to accomplish, starting with water and food security. And that was it for Can You Homestead on Less Than an Acre of Land? Alright. So I'm going to go ahead and get off from here since this is almost 30 minutes. And yesterday it took literally pretty much all day. So probably won't even start uploading it tonight because our internet's been really stupid. So I'll start uploading this tomorrow after church. Hopefully it'll upload quickly. So if it does, I'll go ahead and do more videos tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and get off from here, and make sure you check your subscriptions, you guys. Always keep an eye on those prescriptions. See, I'm tired. Subscriptions. No, stay away from the prescriptions. They're poisonous. Anyway. Always keep an eye on your subscriptions. If you're not subscribed, make sure you click on that subscribe. And I always make sure there's a quick subscribe on my videos. I have to go back through and make sure there's all that on my other videos that I did for my phone. Sorry, I'm really tired. But, and yeah, just make sure you're subscribed. Click on that notification bell and click on all to make sure you get all the notifications. And do your research. You know, this is research. And I'm going to have to write all this stuff out. So, I will see you guys in the next video. And do your research, you guys. And keep an eye on those subscriptions. And get your homestead started. Bye, guys.